So what you're saying, and I love the way that you said it, because of course
Yeah,
I'm a strengths coach. And so for me, it's also about how do we combine our strengths to
yeah,
overcome obstacles. Um,
exactly.
but now you're saying I wake up in the morning. Do I have to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to do this? I'm a night person. I'd rather be up until 2 or 3. Does this have to be at the beginning of my day? Does this have to be at a particular hour of the day? Or can I use it efficiently at any time?
So Stephen Covey is one of my big mentors, and one of his bugbears and mine is the word have. You
Mm-hmm.
have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You
Okay.
choose to do whatever you want to do. So you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. You can
Mm-hmm.
choose to get up at whatever time you want to, right? So you don't have to
So
do anything.
So it would be perfectly fine if I had this ritual at the closing of my day, which might
Sure,
be
that's
2
your
o'clock or
choice.
3 o'clock in the morning, but it would still
Sure,
set me up for success.
it could. The science says mornings are better. The statistical science dictates, right? If you go
Mhm.
and look at this, mornings are better. To
Okay.
momentum, you start. So
So,
you could choose. You could choose because you're not a morning person. You love the evenings.
mm,
You could do it. Would it be as effective as a 5 o'clock or a 6 o'clock um, anchor? I suppose I would encourage you to make that choice, right? You don't have to do anything. You could choose to check in the evenings. You could choose not to check in at all. But if you
mm,
chose to check in the mornings, what would that mean?
okay.
So it's I don't the science says
Mm,
mornings for this particular stretch before moving is better. Evenings
okay.
work. You can do your gratitude. You can do your checking for the next day. You can do all of that and not do anything in the morning. But then you're not stretching before moving, are you? You're waking up and you're
Uh-huh.
going.
I hear you. Okay.
You're doing a stretch in the evening, but you're going to stretch. You go stretching before sleeping, not stretching before
Okay.
moving.
Uh-huh.
It's still a
Perfect.
stretch. It's still
Mm,
you can still activate the body over long term. If you stretch in the evenings, that's good too.
mm.
But yeah, the science, the statistical science, the research, looking at top performers. You go to Tim Ferriss's different books. Everybody interviews. There's nobody that says I do all of my prep late at night before I go to sleep. All of them are saying, yeah, before I get my day going, I do my prep.
Get ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you were talking about presence earlier on, which is or being present, I love what you called it, like mindful attention that you're paying to
Yes.
someone, to the dogs, but also to everything else. The other concept from coaching that you're very fond of using is beginner's mind. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, so I heard this ages ago, and it landed for me. You can either be angry or you can be curious,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't be angry and curious at the same time.
Excellent.
So, so I get cut off by a taxi, right?
Mm.
Am I angry at the bloody taxi that cut me off, or am I
Mm-hmm.
curious about what's going on for that guy? What's driving his behavior? Why is he doing that? Is it how is he incentivized to drive? Uh, where is he going? What is his story?
Mm.
So curiosity is one of those fundamental things. A beginner's mindset is a lot of things, and I'll break it down for 3 core things. Beginner's mindset is park your ego. I'll never forget when I was at Stellenbosch University and I worked at the Spur in Somerset West. And I was kind of visibly, I could see one of the people that had been there for 2 years being irritated because I was standing at the counter. I couldn't figure out the call signs, a Wowie versus a Zowie versus whatever. I was getting all frustrated and flustered as a first time waiter. And there's this person there that visibly was irritated because, newbie, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Now, that person was leaning into this, I know this stuff and I don't have any time for anybody that's new. People over the years, I found that there's senior people, brilliant people in companies that will embrace the newcomers, the younger people, the people that have just finished the course, that have just, because they have technical abilities that they might not have. They have a perspective that they might have. They even have a point of view that they have forgotten, a freshness. The beginner's mindset says, I have all this knowledge, all this momentum, all this stuff, but I'm open to hearing what you have to say. I'm open to hearing your perspective, even though I think I'm way further down the line than you are, because there's always something to be learned. There's always, if I'm open to it, because we unlearn things, we forget things. So beginner's mindset is that concept of going to every single situation curious and mindful of, I don't know it all. Evolved people know that the more I know that I don't know much, right?
Yes.
So it's leading into that concept of the knowledge doesn't make you, of course it makes you smarter, and of course it gives you more to give, but the knowledge should also remind you that you actually have got so much left to learn, and anybody can give you a nugget. You just need to be open to it. So beginner's mindset is openness to learning, and not sitting on your laurels, not sitting in your power, right? Sitting in your power, you'll stagnate while everybody else is forging ahead.
So you mentioned a very interesting angle to this when you were speaking about being overtaken by a taxi. Now, I mean, what I really love about that example is that it's not someone that we are normally vested in. So it's not someone that I'm going to wonder, oh, I wonder what's happening for him. It's just easier to be really angry at that person. But how do we set this up? How do we almost put our heads into that beginner's mindset gear when we are dealing with like tough conversations with loved ones, people at work, that kind of thing? How do I get myself ready?
Oh, it's again, stretch before moving, right? How can I have gratitude for that person? How can I have gratitude for that taxi? Because my domestic came here on a taxi today, right? Not that taxi, but she was in a taxi. They serve a purpose. Stephen Covey, and I'll go back to 7 Habits. He's great examples right at the start about the paradigm, the way you see things. And he talks about being on this train, and this guy's got his 2 kids there. The kids are all over the place, and he's like so angry at the guy because can't you control these kids? And he had all this anger, and then he kind of gets to the guy, can you? And the guy kind of snaps out of it. He says, I'm so sorry. I just came back from my wife's funeral. So the kids are all over the place. The guy isn't really controlling them. And Covey says he felt so bad because he had his view of like, this guy's just not undisciplined kids, but he had no idea what's going on for him. He had no idea where he's coming from. He had no idea what his particular situation was. So tough conversations, things that irritate you, what is happening for the other person. The Enneagram is great for this, by the way. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you, as an 8, what's driving your behavior? As a 3, as a 6. It's been amazing for me to kind of just anchor where people are coming from in terms of their motivations. And I'm digressing, but there are tools available, right? Like the Enneagram to help you develop the skill set. A book like the 7 Habits is really, really useful. Mentors are really useful. A guy called Danny Gildenhuys, who passed away last year, was the first one when I was really young. I was in 23, 24, who said to me, I was all, I talk about these other members of a consortium weren't playing the game, and he said, yeah, but they're small members, and what they're asking for is what protects them. So you always want to, because you're a big member, you don't want to accommodate the small members' needs, but put yourself in their shoes. Like you always just try to put yourself in the position of the person other side of the table. And it's simple, right? It's almost like a cliche, but we just don't do it. We just don't do it on a continuous basis. We're stuck in our mind, our perspective. The beginner's mindset is curious. Where are they coming from? What is it that they want out of this conversation? What do I want? Let's be clear about my intentions too, but let's be open to understanding what's happening for them. And that's
I love
how
that.
you anchor.
I love the intention.
Yeah.
The intentionality of it. So, interesting question. You speak about the importance of mentors, and you obviously have, between books and real people, ample of them. So often when I was working in corporate, people would say, I don't know how to approach someone and ask them to mentor me. What's your perspective on that?
I want Innocente to mentor me. Well, make a case, right? I have a friend. There's a guy in the entrepreneurs organization of which I'm a member called Warren Rustad. He's the god of EO. He's done worked for all these presidents and started all these multinational companies. And I have another friend, Philip Hartman, who said to him, "Can you mentor me?" He said, "No, I can't mentor you. I'm too busy." He tried again. "Can you mentor me?" "I can't mentor you. I'm too busy. I might have space next year." Persistence. "Can you mentor me?" "Okay. Record your time. Like, what are you doing with your time on this grid? I'll give you a spreadsheet. I want you to give me a report for 6 months how you spent your time to the minute. And then if you give me that report, maybe I'll mentor you." So now he's mentoring him, right? It wasn't a one-day game, but it could also be. Terry Munro is the best guy in tourism in South Africa. A company called Beachcomber Tours. They've been #1 tour operator for 30 years and counting or more. So Terry Munro, when I was struggling with my team, I didn't have team alignment and I was people leaving, unhappiness and all kinds of nonsense. I said, "He seems the best guy. Nobody ever leaves Terry's business." I called him and said, "Terry, can you be a mentor?" He said, "I can't be your mentor. I don't have the time to be a mentor." And I know Terry. He said, "I can't be a mentor." I'm like, "Can you do breakfast?" He said, "I can do breakfast." So I took him for bacon and eggs at the Mug and Bean in Somerset West. We sat there for 2 hours. I had a list prepared. This is the most valuable 2 hours I spent at breakfast in the last 4 years, because I knew what I wanted out of the conversation. And I asked him, "Well, how do you align incentives? How do you keep people? How do you do this? How do you deal?" And boom. So who's going to do it for you, Innocent? You want a mentor? Who's the best guy? How do I get to the best guy? Let me put up a strategy. Let me be persistent. Let me get a meeting. What is mentorship? It can just be a half an hour phone conversation. It can just be a 2-hour breakfast. It can be an ongoing 5-year relationship. It's all of those things. But first and foremost, it's on you to go, who's the best person I want to aspire to get leadership from, and go and find that person. It can be a book. It can be a physical person. It can be all kinds of things. But it's on you.
I really like that. I think what I really like about your answer is that in corporates, there's always a good reason to be afraid of the hierarchy. There's always a good reason not to ask, because people are more important or they have less time. So I do like your example that through perseverance and also redefining what is mentorship and how long does it last. And what I also love is your book is sometimes a book is a mentor to you. That's also shows you
What's the demerit? What's the demerit of going 3 levels up and asking a person to mentor you? How could that damage you in a corporate? Like, how on earth could that damage you by putting your hand up and saying to somebody senior is, "Could you please mentor me?" I always ask the question, what's the downside here? He might tell somebody, and then my manager will say, "You're going over my head. You're a suck up." I said, "No, I want to know how to be better for the company. My intentions are pure." I don't see how that could be a massive risk to reach out to somebody that you admire and ask them for their time. I just don't see how it could be a risk.
It sounds like you've done that in that situation before.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know. I studied, and I realized somewhere along the line in my postgrad business studies that the good marks comes from actually taking the time to go see the lecturer. I never did it pre-grad. Go see the lecturer. Let him know who you are. Let him know that you're eager to do this. That that you see them as a person, not just. Lecturers are people too. So you get better insight into what you need to do. They pay more attention to who you are, and they feel flattered that you're taking the time to talk to them. 3 levels up. It's basic. Take an interest in what they can give, and and it's not even it's not fake, or it's not being strategic or trying to work the system. I want to know how you did this. And in the process, if I really soothe your ego, and you remember that this guy is actually quite a lacquer oak in the business, great auxiliary benefit, right?
I hear you. I hear you. But as you said, it is first about connecting with a person.
Yeah,
And I think that so often, and I certainly know from my experience training over the years, is that you do like the people who actually pitch up and interact and who are present. And it's not because they're trying to flatter you, it's just because you actually share love of the topic.
yeah. Don't be a teacher's pet and don't be fake.
Mm,
Be intentional, and then use. If you're going to ask your mentor for tips and ask them what you should do,
mm. Do it.
go away, do it, report back, let them know that what they told you has landed.
Mm,
Right?
mm.
Yeah. That's the
Perfect.
other piece. The follow up, and you can't just go and have a chat because you want someone to know that you're there. Like
Mm.
if they give you good stuff, go and use it and report back on how it worked.
So, Pieter, last question. Is there then space to combine mentorship with this beginner's mind? Or is mentorship just about, I know what I know, and so it's best for me to impart what I know?
Teach to learn, huh? You've forgotten a lot of this stuff. If I am forced to now mentor you and you're asking me, I need to go back to why did that work? Why did that? And I might not be doing that anymore. The thing
Mm,
that got me here, I've stopped doing it because of politics, because of laziness, because of sitting on my laurels. So now that I'm telling you, listen, the way I got there was by
mm.
actually walking the streets and handing out my flyer. It was by spending all this time building my database. I'm like, shit, but I haven't done that in a while. So
Oops.
beginner's mindset, ah, I need to I need to actually remember to do that. But now that I'm telling you that that's how I got there, I'm reminding myself, teach to
Yeah.
learn.
Wonderful.
So that's
Wonderful.
where it sits. Your beginner's mindset starts with yourself. You're unlearning what you've learned all the time.
That is fabulous. Thank you so much. That is, I think, an inspirational way to end. Well, because I'm a great learner, I do enjoy that. So that quote definitely does it for me. But PG, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us about all of your thoughts, your keynotes, and I will be sure to pop some links into the discussion notes. Sorry, into the session notes for this podcast so that people can come and find you there. So thank you
100%.
much, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Innocent. Have a good day.
Thank you. Well, everyone, once again, such a lovely conversation, and this time with PG. Certainly, so much for us to think about. Who knew that my beloved furry friends could actually start a whole movement here? And I do understand what PG means when he says stretch before moving and about that mindful attention. Sometimes when I'm patting my dogs, it's with one hand checking the news, not mindful enough. I'm sure they'll be glad for him showing me the error of my ways. So, as always, if you are following us from LinkedIn or watching this on LinkedIn and you found it valuable, please, on the page roundabout over here, there will be a button for you to subscribe to the YouTube video. Otherwise, if you are following us on LinkedIn or on Facebook, we are glad to have you here. Please comment, like, and then, of course, share as much as you can. And then head over to YouTube and go and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode of the Performance Cafe.